Hi everyone, welcome to another Broken Meeple acquisitions video. I'm armed with more games that have entered my collection for the time being, as well as my coffee, because I've been at Dice Portsmouth playing games all day, so I need the wake-up call. But I've got 4 more games to talk about that I have parted with my own cash to buy or found means to acquire, and I figured I'd talk about briefly why I actually decided to buy them in the first place. So first up, this one is a bit of a lie, Sunset Over Water. And it's a lie in the sense that technically I got it for free. I traded a game for it effectively, but Dice Portsmouth were doing a clearance sale. They were getting rid of a bunch of their old games that they just weren't selling or that weren't getting played in the library, and this was one of them. And it's got a bit of a ding and dent on the box, but it was shrink wrapped inside, so it was essentially new apart from the box. And I traded a very small card game for it or something, basically something out of my collection I got rid of, and I just passed it because it was effectively pay what you want. So I could have paid them like £1 and still got it. But effectively I just gave them a small card game, I forget what it even was, and, got this. And it's a picturesque game by Steve Finn and Eduardo Baraf, who people will recognise as the person who did Herbalism. Very nice, relaxing little card game from what I've heard. I've still yet to play it. Not Herbalism, Herbaceous. Sorry, got that wrong. Sunset Over Water is another relaxing style game, much in the same vein. Its art is by Beth Sobel, who people will know from things like Wingspan and a few other games. She's really making a name for herself, and with good reason, because her art is freaking gorgeous. You look on the back of this box and it's got art in so many it's got my favourite type of art, landscape art. I love paintings of scenery, like forest scenery, waterfalls, streams, that kind of thing, mountains, alpine mountains. That kind of painting really does, that's what I like. That's what I want on my wall, because you get all sorts of colours and emotion from that kind of thing. I much prefer it to portrait art, and I certainly prefer it by miles to abstract art. What's the deal with that? But this is a nice little simple game where you're basically playing cards simultaneously with opponents to determine initiative order and how many cards you can collect, and then you're moving on a grid to move them over different spots and collect the paintings that are on here, and basically trade them in for points via set collection. That's pretty much the deal, but there is a little bit of tension between players, like as to whether things get taken before you get there. And so far, I've enjoyed my time with it. I've only played it multiplayer a couple of times, and I've played it solo a couple of times, and it's been nice. It's just a nice, pleasant card game. Nice and relaxing, not too long. We're talking 30 minutes tops, even with 4 players, really. It has a solo mode that works fine. It's just very nice and light. And considering I got it effectively for free, it's a pretty good going, considering I don't know where else you can sort of grab a copy of this. But no, I'll hang around for this for a while. I mean, it seems like a nice little package, and yeah, I'm glad I finally got to try this. But why did I buy it in the first place? Well, Mike D'Alicio on the Dice Tower put it as number 1, I think it was number 1 or number 2, on his top 10 relaxing games list. And Z Garcia gave it a pretty decent review as well. So I figured, you know what? I'm into these small package card games with a small storage space that give me a nice little bit of bang for my buck. And it's, like I say, I think the artworks and other things. Beth Sobel, you are really on a roll. If I see a game that's art is by you, I'm definitely going to be taking a look at it. And I really, really want to try Herbaceous. I know it's just meant to be a nice, simple filler card game, but I still want to try it. So somebody find me a copy of that, or somebody at my Dice Portsmouth club, please bring it to a club night. I want to play it. I don't think my cafe's got it, but we'll have to see. Anyway, Sunset Over Water, pretty sweet one there. So, next up we'll take Medium. Medium is a party game, a mind-reading party game. This is from Greater Than Games, so you can tell I've got a bit of a love for them, at least for 2 of my games, Spirit Island and Sentinels in the Multiverse. But I also managed to get this party game off them, 30 to 45 minutes, 2 to 8 players, and it's a straight-up party game. Basically, you count up the points to the partners on your side at the end, but what you're doing is that you're pairing up with the person on your left and your right, and what happens is you have these cards in the middle, and I know I didn't get out Sunset Over Water's cards, but I think the photos on the screen would have shown much better. But these cards have all got a word on them, sun, bus, pink, clock, book, stadium, alien, jump, telescope, whatever, all sorts of weird stuff. And the idea is that you play a card face up, then your partner to your left plays a card from their hand face up. So I could have, let's see if I can find a good one here, sun and kite. Let's say I put those 2 out. And the idea is with these 2 is that what you do is that you then stare at your opponent, or like your partner, it's not an opponent, and you count it down 3, 2, 1, and each of you at the same time has to say a single word, phrase, whatever, that links the 2 words together. So sun and kite, I could for example say sky. You fly a kite in the sky and the sun is in the sky. yeah, that kind of makes sense. And if both of you say it, then you get a bunch of points, 5 or 6 points. Then you have a second attempt and a third attempt if you fail to do it the first time. But the trick is that when you say your 2 words, if you don't match, on the second attempt, those are the 2 words you've got to find a link between. And then on the third attempt, the 2 words you say on the second attempt, you've got to find a link between. So the gap gets closer and closer the more that you try and find links. And it can cause some decent laughs. I mean, it's not quite fall out of your chair laughing. You know, we're not talking like Detective Club levels of laughter here, but I had a good time with this. And the first time I saw it was at Aircon, I think, where a bunch of drunken people were playing it and they were having an absolute ball with it. And granted, I'm not saying you have to be drunk to play this. We played it stone sober and we had a good time with it. It's simple. It catered for 5 of us nicely because you don't have to have equal teams. It really doesn't matter. I don't see why I would want to play this with 2 players. That just seems a bit naff. I would imagine you would want to have a reasonable amount of reasonable player count, but even with 3, this could work really. But honestly, this is more something you want with a lot of players really. But nice and simple. You know, it comes down to, you know, when you're doing that 3-2-1 thing, of 3-2-1. And then what you say, and then the reactions of each person after they say it, whether they get it right or wrong.
What am I, psychic?
Nice and simple, nice and cute, and this is good for a convention setting. You know, even with people you don't know, it'd be quite amusing to try and get into their heads. But I like these kind of games where you're trying to get into your opponent's head. I like it with the, you know, some of these like Mysterium and Obscurio type picture cards, and I like it with this. So it's nice. I'm not saying, well, would it be a top 10 party game for me? I don't know. I need to play it more often. I've only played it the once, but you know, so far it's done the job, and I was tempted by this purely because I saw it at the convention and thought, you know what, I haven't tried this one yet, and let's face it, Great Indian Games are kind of on a roll with me at the moment, so I figured why not. But yeah, that is Medium. Right, now here's the 2 that I have not played and are taking more of a gamble on. Firstly, Fort. Now people are probably thinking, Luke, you're not taking a gamble with this one, it's amazing, you gotta play it. Well, I've got no idea if I'll like this or not. I mean, Root is this is Later Games, or however you pronounce it, and they did Root. So it's a similar style artwork. The artwork is okay. I'm not a massive fan of it in Root, although for a game that's themed around kids building a fort, it actually fits this game actually more, I think, the artwork. But Root is okay for me. I don't mind it, but I hate the idea of teaching 4 separate games every time you have to teach it to new players, and it's just like, oh, I can't be bothered with that. Plus, because the app is so good, I don't see a reason to have the board game. It's like through the ages. There's just no reason to own the physical game when you've got the app. It's so much better. But this is the same people, 2 to 4 players, 20 to 40 minutes. Okay, I'll believe that when I see it, but apparently this is a pretty short game. I'm expecting this to take about an hour on the first time, but if it can come down to 45 minutes, I'll be happy. But this is apparently a deck building game with a twist, and from what I've read of the mechanics, I like the idea that it's, you know, if you don't use a card for very long, it goes away, because if you don't play with your friends, they're going to get sick and tired of you. But then also the idea that when you play cards, you get to do things based off your own abilities and that, but you also get to follow other players' actions on their turn. So it's a case of, well, are you doing actions yourself or are you copying other people? And it's quite interesting. I mean, cards can shift around all over the place. There's a little bit of take that from what I've heard. But opening the box, this has got some pretty good components in it. I mean, I bought this for, what, less than 20 quid? Because I think it was slightly on sale at the time. And, I mean, you've got thick, chunky boards. You've got some good reference aids. Very thick, dual-layered player boards. Wow. With double-sided as well. I mean, this is pretty good production quality for what is essentially a card game. Now, the rest of it is fairly standard. I mean, you've got some wooden pieces and you've got a bunch of cards, which I've yet to attempt to sleeve, although I might do. Although this insert is not proving to be great because there's a very loose cubbyhole under here for the small cards and they're sliding around. But, you know, the artwork on this is very reminiscent of Root, and with cards such as Golden Boy, Patch, Captain Einstein, Bone, Spike, the Rocket Brothers, the Ants, Skids, the Scrappers, Thunder, Bug, Sarge, you know, all these weird names that you would give your friends when you're building a fort. I mean, I feel like I'm playing kind of like a weird episode of South Park or something, but yeah, this one's got me intrigued. I've seen good reviews. Dice Tower liked it, although Tom wasn't as big a fan, but the rest of the Dice Tower liked it. And you know what, I thought for less than 20 quid, I should give this a try. But there's another key reason. Sooner or later, I need to start thinking about my top 100 list. And before I do my top 100, I need to go and do my retrospective 2020 list. Because normally I do them around the end of the year, but I can't be bothered to wait until December to give you my retrospective 2020 list just for the occasional game. It's not worth the wait. So, and also there's going to be enough stuff to do around December time, trust me. So what I thought I'd do is I'd do it halfway during a year. So I've tried to make a conscious effort to play 2020 games that I haven't played yet. You know, I mean, things like Whistle Mountain and a few others, you know, I've tried to get to the table. Well, you know, this is probably the last 2020 game that I'll be playing before I do the retrospective list. So I want to give this a fair shout, give it a few plays, maybe do a blitz review on it, you know, if I've got time. And I want to see if it could make my top 10 of the year, if it's as good as people say. So yeah, I'm keen on this one. I'm, you know, a small package, you know, small box. If this can give me a good, fun card game, then I'll be very happy. So yeah, let's see if Leader Games can win me over with this one, even though Root didn't necessarily win me over. And then the massive gamble. 2019, I thought this was a 2020 game as well. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but BGG says 2019. I'm surprised by that. When did it come out? Was it just 2019 in terms of Kickstarter, or did it really come out in 2019? I just completely missed it. But In the Hall of the Mountain King. Apparently, we're getting In the Fall of the Mountain King as a sequel. I have no idea, I've not looked it up. But from Burnt Island Games, I don't know much about this publisher, but people have been banging on and on for me to play this game. Seriously. Every time I've said, you know, what kind of game do I need to get? You know, what would you like to see me try? In the Hall of the Mountain King keeps coming up. And anytime it mentions in conversation, people go, great game, good game, I really like it. Luke, you got to try it. It's like... Alright, fine. I paid some money, I bought it. I've even bought the Cursed Module expansion so I can play this solo. Although, I'd be interested to know if anybody's played the cooperative mode. Is cooperative any good in this? Let me know in the comments. But I'm a little hesitant to play it co-op. I'm not sure if that's just tacked on just because you've got solo. But I want to try this multiplayer first, which I will try to do on Wednesday, because I'm going back to Dice Portsmouth on Wednesday and I'm hoping to play Fort and In the Hall of the Mountain King then. So I'll hopefully play a multiplayer game of it then. Then I'll take it home and play some solo games, and then I'll play it multiplayer a bit more, and I'll try and give my first impressions on the podcast this week, as well as maybe include it in a Blitz Compendium review, we shall see. But yeah, this massive thing with a ton of components in, I mean, polyomino tiles with circle holes in them, like anchor holes, and it's like, what on earth are these used for? Some thick player boards, a bunch of wooden pieces. I mean, it's well produced. I'll give it that. I think it was a Kickstarter before. The only thing I'm not as keen on is the slightly flimsiness of the cards. I'm hoping I've got some sleeves to put these in, but I don't know. They are quite different in size, so we'll have to see. But purple gems, you know, big statues. Yes, cubes. Unfortunately, cubes. I wonder if I can substitute some Stonemaier treasure chest stuff for this. I'll have to see. But the board looks quite busy, I must admit. But the theme sounds cool. The idea of building up, you know, building tunnels and like getting resources and hiring trolls and stuff. It sounds interesting, but I know very little about whether I'm going to like it mechanically. The rules and the, well, not the rules, but the BGG list keep going on about something called cascading production, which apparently is when you hire trolls, you put them in a sort of pyramid formation, and then you get what the troll itself gives you, as well as trolls underneath it, so it kind of cascades down. Okay, that sounds fine, but it makes a huge deal about it, and it doesn't, I think we've had that before. Have we not had that before somewhere? I don't know. Maybe it's unique, but I hope that's not all the game's about, just a production run. You know, I hope there's more to it than that. But yeah, this is a gamble. Paid the normal price for it. 2 to 5 players, 90 minutes. I'm expecting this to probably be a 2-hour affair. I heard it's not as good with more players because it feels a little multiplayer solitaire-ish. That's another worry I have. You know, am I going to be playing this with 4 players on Wednesday, most likely, and then people sort of going, oh, right, well, I didn't really care what you 3 were doing, I was more doing what I was doing, but maybe the solo mode will fit that, because some people have liked it solo. No idea. This is probably one of my biggest gambles that I've done since War of the Ring. You know, Fort, I've got an idea that I should like it. The mechanics really do sound like I should like Fort. This one, I'm uncertain, so we shall see. I mean, you know, spell cards and all that, you know, the theme sounds cool and it's well produced and it's getting a lot of recommendations, so we'll see about that. But let me know in the comments. So that's it, yes, In the Hall of the Mountain King, Fort, Sunset Over Water, and Medium. 4 games new in the collection. Will they stay there for as long as possible? We shall see. But yeah, I've grabbed these and I'd be interested to hear your thoughts. So let me know in the comments what you think about these games, particularly these two, Fort and In the Hall of the Mountain King. I'm very keen to know what your initial thoughts are there. But if you happen to have played these two, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on that as well. So that's it from me on this video. If you like what you see, please consider leaving a thumbs up. Like only takes a millisecond to do, and I appreciate knowing that you like the content. Of course, don't forget to check out the rest of the content on my channel. For starters, you can check out the top 10 tiny games that I've put out. Yes, the top 10 lists are continuing, as well as my review of Destinies, where I was a little bit disappointed, but you'll have to watch it to find out why. That's it for me. Remember, it's only a game, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.